Hey, what's going on, guys? Mark Levinsky here again. Just doing another video on how to find real estate. So today we're gonna go over first of all how to use technology like Zillow and how to find you a great state to purchase real estate in. Um, I live in Arizona. I personally believe Arizona is a great place to purchase for equity as of May 10th, 2021. Going to touch on that real quick. I think it's great because there's three major reasons why. We as a state have not actually experienced a significant amount of unemployment. Last I checked, midst pandemic, back in summer of last year, and even in the winter around December, we actually only had a 4.5% unemployment rate, and before the pandemic, we only had like a 3% unemployment rate. So if you quantitate that into the number of people unemployed, I think it's only like 150,000 people out of like, it's not that much. There hasn't, retrospectively, when there's only like 7.1 million people in Arizona, most of them live in Phoenix in the metropolitan area, and the rest kind of live in smaller subdivision portions of that, like Scottsdale, Flagstaff, which is north, Waddell, Surprise, Tucson. It's very, very weird to see that, 1.5%, maybe 1% increase or decrease in the unemployment rate it's a lot of people, but it's not a lot of people. So that being said, the unemployment rate hasn't gone up significantly. We have a lot of people moving here, so we're experiencing a significant amount of growth, specifically from California. A lot of people living in California, a lot of businesses that live in California, specifically businesses, are moving from California to places like Arizona, Tucson, in Phoenix metropolitan area, and then Austin and Houston. Some of them are even moving to Dallas, and then Florida. So there are a lot of businesses in California are relocating. So there are three major states that they're going to. Statistics show a lot of people are also moving from colder states to this warmer state. On average, in our summer, we have like 2.5 months out of the year that are like 100, 110 degrees, but it's not humid. So it feels hot, but it's not 90 to 100 degrees plus 30% humidity. So you're not sweating. It feels like you're in an oven. And a lot of people find that a lot better than being in somewhere that's hot and humid. In addition to that, we have winters that don't usually go below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So or 0 degrees Celsius. So it's not relatively cold either. It doesn't snow in the metropolitan area. It doesn't snow in Tucson, but it does snow in Flagstaff. We're approximately 8 hours from everything amazing, 8 hours from the beach, 2 hours from Mexico, and I think you're like 3 or 4 hours from the Gulf of Mexico. You're maybe 4 hours from a beach in Mexico. You're 2 hours from the snow. You're within walking distance, typically, from a very large metropolitan city. You're 2 hours from the woods in hunting season. You're 2 hours from the desert, the real desert. We've kind of got a mixture of everything, I think. It's really close, where a lot of places you don't have that. You either have one or the other, and it's too extreme or not. I mean, I think the worst part about Arizona is it's hot. So you take that into consideration with the unemployment rate, and a lot of businesses moving here, a lot of people moving here, and the fact that we are currently in the process of raising minimum wage. So our buying power is inflating as well. When Biden said that he wanted to raise minimum wage to $15 an hour, and he wanted to do that over a 5 or 10-year period, Arizona had already done that. And so our equilibrium has already started to shift and move, and prices have already started to increase. In addition to that, Biden had also talked about increasing or applying a down payment assistance program for people to give them grants that you have to pay like for the first year, as long as you don't miss payments in the first year, you don't have to pay them again. So Arizona has always had that, even in the even I think before the recessions, and some businesses were already doing that. So there already is a $15,000 down payment assistance. In fact, you can even get more than $15,000 in some cases, up to 5% actually of a total home purchase. So if you buy a $350,000 home, you make below $57,000 in annual income, you qualify for down payment assistance. There are other factors that go into that as well, but that typically is what you can expect. So talk to a mortgage loan originator or mortgage broker about that if you're trying to get a home in Arizona and you're interested in that. But that being said, those actually $15,000 assistance, down payment assistance, actually increases homes significantly, especially if it's used often. So a year ago, pre-pandemic, or 2 years ago, pre-pandemic, homes on average were selling for about $300,000, between $300,000 to $350,000. So we'll just say $350,000. Right now, on average, homes that were selling for $350,000 in just a 6-month to 18-month period have seen a significant amount of value increase. And when I say significant amount, I'm saying homes are going up on average one to like 2% a month. One of my friends that I speak to quite often purchased a home 6, maybe 7 months ago for $250,000, and it's already worth 310. So he refinanced like 3 or 4 months after purchasing for a lower interest rate, and it was worth just over 80% of his LTV. So he only has 5% that he's paying mortgage insurance premium on. And if the market continues to trend, which it will, because a lot of people again are moving here, there's down payment assistance, and our unemployment is still very strong. As long as we see 2 out of those 3 factors continue to maintain, Arizona is going to continue to grow in equity until there's a significant housing correction. And there are so many factors that could cause that have happened, that have not caused that. So that being said, it's hard to determine where the economy is going. But that being said, I just kind of want to show you why I don't purchase homes for rentals in Arizona, because the equity is continuing to grow at an exponential rate. So if you buy a distressed property in Arizona with the intent to wholesale it or flip it, it's a great opportunity to do that here, because you can buy something like a hoarder home, someone that needs to move into a different location, or because their house was a hoarder home and they're selling it, they're not going to be able to sell that for peak market because there's trash to the ceiling, there's maybe neglected physical defeasance, like the water heater hasn't been replaced ever. The AC doesn't work. There's a hole in the roof. Stuff like that. Physical defeasance, stuff that's actually wrong with the property physically. And there's not an economic defeasance, like where it's located, then you can purchase that property 50 to 70% of market value, do some work to it, throw out the trash, replace, repaint tile, repaint walls, refurnish cabinets, replace cabinets, redo countertops, resurface countertops, redo the kitchen, stuff like that, to make it more functional and a lot more eye appealing. Then you could actually see a significant increase in your equity and sell it for potential profit, to basically bring it to market, because it was physically defeasant. So Arizona is a great market to flip homes. I think the average the home flipper right now are actually seeing $40,000, where when I started in 2018, people were only experiencing a $20,000 return. So just in 2 or 3 years, we've seen a significant amount of profits gained from flipper, at least in the real estate flipping industry, just because home values have significantly increased. Additionally, wholesalers used to make $5,000, and now they're making random outrageous numbers like 10 to 15, even $100,000 just on one flip, or just on one wholesale deal, because there's so much equity gaining back and forth in this market. And yeah, a lot of people believe that this is an early indication of 2008 crisis. So it's another reason why I won't buy, just because there are so many factors that are showing that are very similar. But there are also so many factors that are not showing that this is the same instance. For instance, people that are refinancing their home aren't pulling equity out to pay off debt that they have in other places. They're refinancing and staying on the same mortgage cycle simply to reduce the rate. And they're not borrowing additional equity going up to 105% of their current home value. They're staying at the current home value they had before, or staying at what they currently owe, adding loan costs, which are typically 3% of your total mortgage, and then refinancing for a lower rate, reducing their payment, their living expenses. So that's something we're seeing that's a lot different. Additionally, a lot of people that are staying in forbearance are using it as a tactical advantage rather than a you know, actual financial crises specific to Arizona. And there aren't as many people in forbearance or in the foreclosure process as there were in 2008. Additionally, lenders' practices are significantly different. There isn't a whole lot of ninja loans. Ninja loans are basically what they sound like: people that don't exist owning homes or even dogs or cats, which is something that was very prevalent in the 2008 crisis. Additionally, the CIDs, I think they're called, they're basically conglomerated loans stacked together, that are low quality mixed with high quality loans being sold as A-grade portfolios to investors on the secondary market. That still kind of sort of happens, but in a different process, and it's a lot more thorough than it was before because it's a significantly more heavily regulated market, whereas before nobody really looked and nobody cared because the real estate market was performing outrageously. So that all being said, those are reasons why I don't, and why I don't think it's also going to collapse anytime soon. It's why I don't invest there, and it's why I don't really want to, because it's gonna hyperinflate quite a bit before it ever corrects, and it may not ever correct. It may be something where society has to get to that affordability, where minimum wage has to raise to be able to purchase to be able to afford the value of a home. In my generation, the millennials just started to enter, like the older millennials just started to enter into the home purchase process. And there's still not a lot of us that are, because we're waiting longer to get married. So there's also a generational gap between who owns homes and who's doing what. So that being said, I'm going to show you how I personally find homes in different markets, different submarkets to purchase, being a long distance real estate investor. So one of the things I'll do is I'll just pick like a random state. I'm going to use Arkansas, for example, because I know that there's a lot of good deals here. Next, I'm going to go to for sale. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to do buy agent, buy owner, new. I'm going to get out of new construction. I'm going to get out of coming soons. I'm going to leave pre-foreclosure, foreclosures, auctions, buy agent, buy owner. That stuff doesn't matter to me. Accepting backup. I'm not going to do accepting backup offers or pending on a contract, because I do not want to know if you're accepting backup offers, because in a market like this where houses are going super fast, there's not enough homes, there's not enough supply, there's a really high demand. I'm not interested, because I'm not interested in competing with people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. I'm going to remove the boundary. Next, I'm going to look at the home type, and I personally like multifamily. I don't like houses. I don't like condos. I don't like apartments. So I'll do multifamily. The reason I like multifamily is because it's just my niche. That's really all there is to it. It's easier for me to mitigate my risk if I have 3 out of 4 tenants and I have a reduction, rather than. The reason I personally like multifamily, I'll just kind of get into it real quick, is because for a home, if you're vacant, you're vacant. There's no source of income. If you have a multifamily property, you can mitigate a lot of your loss of income by renting out 3 out of the 4 units while you fix it up. Hell, if you have a very low payment, very low expenses, and it performs well, you can use 75% of your actual occupancy to cover the repairs of your vacancy. Personally, I have my portfolio that does that, but I also have really expensive stuff that I do to it that isn't normal. So that being said, I look for the like stuff like this. This is a duplex that's probably distressed. It looks like it needs a lot of work. This is a fourplex that looks like it, or multifamily property that looks like it needs a lot of work. Given the fact that it's a 10 bathroom, I would say that 2 of these units are probably 3s and 2 of these units are probably 2s. But I'll just look through this and I'll look for a property that has, a low price. Sometimes I'll even filter it. So I forgot where the filter is. Silly me. Yeah, but I'll sort these by low to high price, and then I'll kind of go out and see the whole state. Well, it was already on the whole state, but I'll go to the whole country sometimes. And this is basically all I'll do. This is how I find the best places to own homes. Is I'll just zoom out, I'll get the whole state, I'll get the whole country, and then I'll look for the lowest price. So obviously these don't have a lot of price because these are auctions. Auctions don't have prices. So, and believe it or not, that's not the actual price. These are rentals. So I typically skip to page 7. And these are parcels of land, not actual properties. If you hear any growling or whining, it's my 2 dogs. So they do that sometimes. And I'll look for stuff like this. So I'll look at properties with high days on market, and I'll call them and find out why. Maybe that's just normal for their market. Maybe it's not. Like this has been on the market for a hot minute. It's probably a parcel of land that's been on the market forever. It's probably again a parcel of land, or it's in a very dangerous area. So anything, I'll just do this. I'll set a minimum price, $50,000, or I'll go 35. That's not uncommon to buy a house. I'll put in any max price, and then I'll look through. Okay, this is a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. This is a duplex. This is a house. This is a duplex. It doesn't say it is, but it is. So I'll look for stuff like this. Okay, this is in Kentucky. And then I'll try to find a specific state that has a lot of property. I'll zoom in, maybe I'll zoom around. I'll try to find a lot of states that have a lot of properties for sale. I'll call an agent, I'll find out why, and I'll kind of go through their multifamily stuff and see, okay, this one, for instance, you're looking right now, Illinois has a lot of multifamily right now. So I'll roll over to Illinois. I'll find out how many properties they have and then kind of go from there. So after I go back to, so once I get to this kind of, kind of got a state demographic, I'll kind of look through, okay, this is a duplex because it's 4 beds, 2 baths. So what that probably is 2 beds, 1 bath per unit. This one's probably 1 bed, 1 bath. And I'll just kind of look through here. I'll kind of look through something like this. Maybe it's got a lot of potential, but there's a lot of damage to it. So maybe I'll click on it. Maybe I won't. Let me find a good one for you. I think I like this one. So I'll click on this one. This looks like it's a duplex in Illinois. Some of the things I'll do before I even look at purchasing this are, what is the demographic of the county? I won't look at the city. The reason I don't look at the city is because I've been in states where stuff like this, specifically in Texas and even in Arizona, like for instance, I'll use Texas for example. San Antonio is a city, but they treat it very much like a state where there are certain portions in the city that are like cities, or there are, for instance, in Dallas, outside of Dallas, you have Allen, Texas, or other smaller cities that are just outside, maybe 15-minute drive to get to where you need to go work inside of Dallas. So these may be 15-minute cities outside. I'll look in the county, I'll look at the demographic of how many people live there in the county. I'll look how close this is to another city, and I'll kind of conglomerate the county if it makes sense. For instance, Killeen, Texas is where I own some real estate. I don't look at Killeen, Texas. I look at Bell County, and then where Lampasas, Texas is. I forgot what county that is. I'll look at that one as well, because they're right on top of each other. I'll count that as one demographic. So before I purchase this, when I'm doing my due diligence, that's what I'll do. I'll find out specifically how many beds and bathrooms there is. Obviously it's 1 bedroom, 1 bath. So I'll look at what they're renting for online. I won't take this into consideration. So I'll use Rentometer, or I'll call a property manager and find out how much it's renting for. I'll look at when it was built, when it was last, what repairs have been done, when it was last repaired. I'll Google Earth this, and I'll look at stuff like that. And then I'll look at the estimate of what the neighboring market may be. So like, if I was to go in and like replace the kitchen, replace all of the flooring, repaint the whole place on the inside and the outside, redo all of the siding on this property, install a better water heater, basically do a full rehab on this property. What would it make me in return in terms of it adding rent? And then would I be creating equity if I did that? If I made those capital improvements, would it be worth more? And so those are some things that I'll look at in the area. I'll look at, similar homes in the area. For instance, this is a $37,000 home, where this is a $256,000 home, and this is a $71,000 home. So maybe this house is half the value of these other homes. It looks like maybe every other house is a duplex and every other house is a fourplex. This one's currently selling for $50,000, which is $17,000 or $13,000 more. So maybe this is actually worth $50,000. So I'm going to do some research like that. What is a potential ARV? I'll comp it to neighboring houses. What else is sold in the area? What else is rented in the area? And then next I'll go into building my team if I want to purchase this. So I'll start contacting realtors. I'll start talking to property managers. I'll ask property managers, do you have any great contractors that you use? Can you put me in touch with them? I'll call those contractors. I'll vet everybody. I'll start trying to create a team. And if I think it's worth it, I'll make an offer. Typically that process for me happens in a 2 to 3 day period. I could probably do it a lot faster. Like when I say faster, I probably do it in like 2 hours. But I'm being more cautious about where and how I purchase real estate, because I want to basically put nothing down and then fix it up, refinance it, rent it out, and then use that capital again in a different property, maybe 2 or 3 streets down the road. So that's my objective. That's typically how I find properties and how I find markets to rent in, is I look at the whole map, kind of get an idea of lowest to highest, what purchase price I want to enter because of how much capital I have saved up or how much credit cards I have ready for deployment. And then once I do that, I just kind of go from there. So that's kind of all there is to it. Hope you guys have a good day. Later.